Just to...
Do you think that she said that to avoid having a conversation about Black Panther, or to avoid being like, are you wearing this because of Black Panther? Because that could be judgy too.
I can see that.
Then you can be like, I can wear African print without having to, you know what I mean? Like, to avoid having a difficult conversation.
Which would have just been a beautiful conversation for me. Because I would have been able to drop all the reasons why.
Right. Like those are the conversations that the courageous conversations that should be had when it comes to stuff like that.
Like, that wasn't scary. So then I started wondering, oh my gosh, does anybody in this building really know what happened this weekend? So then I start getting, a little nervous.
Should they know?
Well, I go to the front office and there's a millennial that works in the front office.
Yeah.
And she listens to the podcast, so hopefully she's listening now. Hey, you know who you are. Mm-hmm. So I walked to the front. First time I'm seeing her all day at about noonish.
Right.
She was like, oh, you represent Wakanda.
Right, and that's it.
And she was cool. And I said, girl, I'm glad you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. She was like, so did you get to make it to see it this weekend? So we just had a regular conversation.
Right.
And I was so proud, but she's part Hispanic, so.
Oh, well.
Maybe that makes a difference. I have
Caucasian
Does that make a difference?
Who have gone and seen it already.
Our counselor that I showed you the picture of, she went to see it last night.
Right. And I have one that's
with a friend.
I'm going tomorrow. Like, it's not like you're not going to see. And what does that mean if you don't? Like, do you have to go see it?
Yep.
I don't like a movie. So if I don't go see it, what does that mean for me? Not interested. But what does that mean for someone else who was like, I don't know, going to see that? And then, like, what about people who have seen every other Marvel movie except for this one? Now that
you need to post that in your Wakanda group, honey.
Right.
Tell me what they say after you do it.
Like, what would be the implications? I don't know. But people are going off and acting crazy because people dressed up for this. But, like, people do that all the time.
And that's what the elephant in the room is for me today.
Yeah.
We can do an elephant.
Was that what that sounds like?
Ain't that elephant?
I thought it was like...
Do it again. I think that's it. That one, you vote. Which one did you like better?
My ears hurt when I did that.
This one?
That's horrible. So anyway.
So that is our elephant. To me, that's the elephant because, sometimes, I don't know how to say this, but sometimes as our culture and things that we do and sometimes we can be devalued as well or made to feel as if, oh, there they go, doing too much whenever we do that. They doing the most. What is with all this? What is with all this?
Or that they're not invited to do it too.
You're always throwing a wrench.
But I feel like, okay, so you have your Star Wars, and then all of a sudden everyone's dressed up like Darth Vader, and they got on Ewok ears, and or whatever. And it's not
Harry Potter, and you're dressing in capes.
Yeah, it's not a race thing, and it's not like I can't do that because I'm a black man. I might be interested in doing that, but that doesn't mean like it's only for that.
That's true.
What about the Marvel Black Panther release? Why did I only see black people doing it when if it's the same equivalent, why weren't all those gung-ho Wonder Women showing up for the Black Panther dressed up like Shuri?
Well, listen, I feel like this might be one of those black statements to get me into that group.
Oh.
I feel
what?
I feel like they are super uncomfortable whenever they're not the majority, period.
Oh, yeah.
And so, just like when we did that giveaway, and that individual was like, I saw that you were doing a giveaway, but I wanted to leave that for some poor what was it? I wanted to leave that for somebody that was less fortunate to win.
Right. And then was like, well, it wasn't for her or something like that.
Because she was a white female. I'm like, this giveaway was for anybody.
Well, okay, and I do believe that Black people can be a little bit
territorial,
possessive about things. But that doesn't mean that you're not allowed. Like, your money still pays for, if we all focused on what we weren't allowed to do, we would not be doing anything in this country.
True.
Because that's how the country was built. So the whole idea of this is Black and this is white, that was created not by Black people. That was created on the premises of the whole country when it was found. Like, it's just not. So, I don't know. I did not see any white people dressed up in dashikis. And Brittany, actually, they had a Black History themed week.
It
and
was
I asked
show
her,
your cultural pride or something.
Yeah, it was
like
Cultural
that.
Pride Week or something like that. And this is where we came up with that discussion about what your culture is with my friend Amy, who's from New Orleans. Because I was like, who dressed up on Cultural Day? And she was like, well, that was like, everybody wore their little Black, dashikis and their African prints and all that. And I said, well, what did the white kids do? And she was like, they didn't do it. Because they were like, they didn't have a culture.
So that is so funny because I had that same conversation with my husband this week. Not even knowing that y'all had talked about that. But I said, I was like, one thing that Black Panther had me thinking about was, wow, we really do have a whole undiscovered world of royalty, excellence, and pride that we could really reference at any point and look up and let become a part of us.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, where we had broken families through slavery and those things, we know where we know we came from Africa.
Clearly, you're still showing that there's no other place.
Right.
And
but then I said, and I've heard white people, a lot of my white friends, because I'm around a lot of white peers and friends, and they sometimes use the argument of they don't really know where they're from either. But
it's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's different. One is through immigration. Okay, they chose to come over here. Some came over as indentured servants, if that's the case. But majority came over to find a better life. But you still know where the roots are. So your last name can tell you exactly where you're from. That's true. You look at,
just because you haven't taken the time
to look like, my last name was Carr, which traces to Kerr, which is an Irish name, but I'm a Black person. So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So anyone who is white, who has the last name Carr, can say, I can go to Ireland, find Kerrs, and that is where my roots would come from. But our names were given to us by an Irish person. So it's not even like, there's no T'Challa going on, in my lineage that I can go all the way back there. But we can directly point to all of them and say, look, at some point, all this is mine. Like, King Tut, yes, I'll take that too.
Amen.
I was about to say Queen Latifah. Queen Hatshepsut. And girl, Cleopatra is who I was thinking about.
Cleo.
And then
that is Queen Latifah. Cleo from Citadel.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Yes,
Cleo. No, did you see how they redid Queen Nefertiti? And made her look like Lady Gaga. They did this. So they did this re-imaging of Nefertiti, who was Tut's mama.
Who did?
Was stepmom or something.
Yeah, but who did this?
She's on tour, this face. So they had re-imaged, taken an imprint, re-imaged, and gave her, really light skin and, this weird type of features and put the, the whole thing on it. And everyone was going off. This was maybe 2 weeks ago. Because they did this great reveal of the, they re-imaged everything and made
it
go
with
real life. And we were like, hold up. When did she look like that? Wasn't she seated at the foundation of the earth in Africa? On the Nile? Do you see it? They redid it and it was like, oh, Okay, but yeah, she looked like Lady Gaga.
Not this one.
The new one. That's it. Well, all of them look like that. I guess they thought they gave her a little bit of a broader nose in the new one. That's the new one.
Oh.
But like, yeah. And how do you determine what color their skin was based on an imprint? Because they didn't have any photographs of what color their skin was. So why is it all so light? It's just confusing considering that it was in Africa. And most people in Africa are dark skinned.
Yeah.
So you're just going to apply a skin color randomly and then say this is what she looked like. Like it was a bit of an uproar going on then, which Iman played a great one. Could have had her beat.
I love it.
I digress. The point is we know a general location of where our roots could lie. And to me, like the most powerful thing, it wasn't the African Americans that were like celebrating. It was to be able to see the celebrations in every theater all around the world of African people, African Americans. They, like I said, they were in South Africa, and they were stunning. Like I think they did it the best out of everybody. Like outfits, they were slaying. Like. Then it was, drums playing in New York. Like, it was just a really, even like my hometown, they did African dancers and drums and like these acrobats in the theater. Like, it was beautiful. A beautiful celebration of just being African or having African roots.
Yeah.
Which, there's white people that also feel like their roots are in Africa because they say that everyone came from Africa, so they could have been celebrating too.
Yep. We didn't have real passports. They could have come.
True. So, what about the whole trying to get to Wakanda for real?
Okay. That's elephant in the room part 2.
Number 2.
Girl, there are people really trying to, they talking about deporting folks. People ready to go, child. We got a group of folks that's ready to catch a plane. And then all this plane business has really confused
They're
folks.
throwing them off that there's an actual flight.
They're like, they're ready.
Atlanta.
They're like, take me back.
I know. And then the thing is, okay, if you watch the movie, not to spoil it at all, but if you watch the movie, would you want to go there? Maybe. For the eye candy and for the beautiful...
Girl, if you don't quit talking about this eye candy.
For the markets, I was checking out those cute bags they had in the marketplace. In the movie.
I need you to stay focused.
I was like, ooh, cute. So, anyways, the idea of Africa if colonialization never happened, so if African countries were never stripped of all the resources, all the value, what it could be. That was the possibilities of Wakanda. Like, so we don't know that. And it made me feel a little bit sad because I was like, that place doesn't exist because clearly I taught world geography and I know exactly all that they took, from that country. The major thing were humans and the 400 years of human resources that were taken from that place. It was like, I hate to hit y'all with some...
Girl, if you don't break down the knowledge, that's the important part.
I hate to hit y'all with the sadness that Wakanda will not exist because, literally the real world it doesn't happen like that. And there's a lot of countries in Africa that aren't doing very well and because of colonialization. So, yes, in the fairy tale world, we could all go to Wakanda. But in real life, what is it that we're going to do here? And so that's the sad part of it. Like, I understand the idea, and Zamunda is great too, which borders. Look, my social studies friend tagged me and was like, for a fact, right, that Zamunda borders Wakanda. That's why they were so rich. And I was like, hello, that's true. No wonder you could go to Zamunda and then sneak into Wakanda if you found someone to marry. Like that.
If y'all don't stop disconnecting But I think at the end of the day, the images that we saw were ones to be proud